to the voices of Maat. I'm Queen Mother Initere Aset Akua Kiti Haru with the Temple of Het Haru, where our founder is Baba Seba Amari Sneferu. And before we get started with tonight's show, I'm going to do our normal chant, our Hesi. Panetter Ampu Pamaat, Ank Wise the Jeb, Ank Unja Seneb, Uben Nefer Akar Pa Endu Haru Ma'at. In English, that translates to how sweet is the truth, life, power, stability, life, prosperity, and health, rising always in divine excellence with Ma'at every day, all day. Ashe.
Ashe. Ashe.
We say Ashe, it simply means that we are in agreement and we're on the same accord. I want to just let everybody know that tonight we have a wonderful, a magnificent show, a blacknificent show. So what I'm going to be doing tonight is introducing our brand new Seba of inspiration. Congratulations, King, on your being recently elevated to the position of the Seba of inspiration of the Temple of Het Haru. And for the sake of our audience, our listening audience, could you perhaps explain to us exactly what is it meant by Seba of inspiration?
Sure. Seba of inspiration, Seba means teacher. So let's get that straight. Let's go ahead and educate the people who are watching right now. Seba means teacher, simply. And I'm a teacher of inspiration. Inspiration, what is it? It's something that we need every single day of our lives. Inspiration helps us to achieve our fondest dreams. It helps us to achieve our biggest goals. And I am the person who, with the Kemetic traditions, with my Pan-African background, I am biologically Pan-African. It's a little bit deeper for me than just being Pan-African. I am biologically Pan-African. But we want to encourage people and we want to give them inspiration, show them where we come from, show them our lineage, show them our teachings, and me knowing that this will inspire the Black mind, this will open the Black mind, and we can free ourselves from where we are now.
Ashe. And so let me go ahead and say your full name for the audience. So our Seba of inspiration full name is Khemra Nsu Sekhemmaat. Ashe?
Ashe.
Okay, so another question. Why have you embraced the Kemetic spiritual tradition over other religious traditions such as Christianity, Islam, Moorish science, Hebrew Israelites, or any of the other spiritual orientations? Why have you selected to go with Kemetic spiritual tradition?
My journey is real simple with that. With me, I'm a person that when something doesn't feel right, you need to go find out what does. And I was a subscriber to Catholicism, the bastardization, which is known as the Baptist sector of that. And me, myself personally, I always felt incomplete. I always felt unbalanced. There were things that happened with the clergy or the people who were supposed to be the prophetic leaders or different things like that. Very, very weird and shaky things that transpired. But it wasn't until I became a buff of history to where I started looking at where things came from. And I stopped listening to Big Mama. I stopped listening to the people who were around me that were not as educated in that particular subject as I was. I began to seek. And when I saw history and I was reading history, I came to the conclusion that, okay, all right, some of this is not adding up. Unlike my mom and other people, and she may watch this program and she knows she's a Bible thumper. I actually have read the Bible forwards and backwards, but each time I read the Bible, I read it at a different stage of my life, if that makes sense. So I'll just extrapolate on it just a little bit. When you read something as a child, you say, okay, man, this is you only have a certain set of experience to go with when you're reading something. You have that set of experience of life that you've had thus far in reading this and understanding this. When I first read it, I was out of high school. I read it and I said, okay, well, okay, this is literal. Okay, so we're going to take this as this. But then when I graduated from college with a bachelor's in music or a bachelor's in arts, and I started looking at it differently. Now I have an education in history, and now I can actually start trying to put the events together. And it was a lot of things that did not add up. Also, another thing too, and I'll just add this too, the way that the Bible speaks about women. When I saw that a lot of the women were the ones that were encouraging me to stay in the church, I kind of realized that they weren't reading the Bible either. They were looking for a form of inspiration. And so me being a Seba of inspiration, I know that's what they sought. And that's why they read the Bible, because they need some type of inspiration. But that's pretty much why I decided to go with Kemetic science. When I looked at it on the outside, a lot of the messages were beautiful. I've always been fascinated with Kemet. Even before I knew what it was. I used to mimic things in like little diaries and little journals and stuff. I would draw like pieces of the Ankh and different things like that. It was just weird. I don't know what it was, but I remember. And I remember when I first saw the Ankh and someone told me what it was. It was an old Masonic man, actually. And he was a friend of my uncle's. May he rest in peace. And he told me, he said, yeah, that's the Ankh. And he had one on. I said, I like that. What's that? What is that? And he was nice enough and kind enough to tell me. And once I start seeing it, it was just like, man. And so me understanding where that comes from, the life cycle of our people. I'm fascinated with hieroglyphics. I'm fascinated with the higher learning. I'm fascinated with the science. And I'm also fascinated with the principles as far as Maat and different things like that. My family abides by it. Like, I mean, it's something that we live every day. So it's just a blessing.
Ashay, about how old were you when you encountered the older gentleman?
I say maybe in my 20s. I say maybe it was around the time when, because I was married at 21. So I was a young married person. I've always been a committed relationship man. So I know that there's a lot of women that don't see that out there these days. But would you say, Queen Mother?
Shay.
Yes, I definitely was a commitment man. And I think around that time, and I was still heavy, like please don't get me wrong. Like, I'm talking about minister of music and the ministry for the children, children's ministry. And I was using my
church.
Say it again, Queen Mother.
The Christian church.
Yes. I went to what was it? St. Paul Missionary Baptist Church. And church. Staying on the Baptist church. And my pastor, his name was Ezekiel Pickens Jr. was his name. And and I'll share this story too. I remember when I went to for the first time when the choir, because the choir takes trips to other churches and delivers the ministry. I remember when I went to another Baptist church and the preacher for that church sounded exactly like the preacher from my church. And you know what I'm talking about. And I know, ooh, yeah, I know, the same stuff. And I was sitting there like, man, he stole my pastor's sound. Oh, he stole my
to the same school or something.
Yeah, he's like, he stole my pastor's sound. What's going on? And the people, the more and more churches I went to that were of the Baptist persuasion, they all sounded the same. And so I was just like, yeah, I think maybe there might be a little something wrong with this.
Ashay, what is your take on the current condition of Black people on a global scale as well as here nationally?
Ooh, you want me to be honest, or you want me to?
Yes, I want you to be honest, but in your honesty, of course, I want you to provide some solutions as well.
Absolutely. Sure. The thing is that I'm a person that is about the knowledge. I know that with the proper education, I know that with the proper sources to be cited for the education, I know that it will rectify everything that we have going on that's wrong. We live inside of a system that is perpetuated by us. And let me explain when I say that, because it's very important. We keep the system alive By being put in survival mode, we have a large majority of our people that feel that they are worthless, they are nothing. They feel that materialistic things actually pronounce their value of who they are. We also have people who want to be, that also goes along with being with the Joneses, but before all of that, they feel like something needs to save them instead of them actually looking within oneself and accepting who they are. And
Teach.
I think that that is the biggest poison that we have of all. It's very, very hard as a person that is supposed to bring inspiration like myself. And a person will go and work multiple 24-hour shifts, okay? And then they will give the credit to the being they call Jesus. And it's very disheartening when we have things in place like Santa Claus with this passing this passing holiday that they celebrated. They give credit to Santa Claus. They say, you know, these people have been struggling and working through COVID and putting their lives in jeopardy just to give credit to an old fat white man. You know, like things like that. Like these type of things, and these type of things are very, very hard to battle. But I'm gonna say this too, and this is something that I find hard to bring inspiration to. When a person spiritualizes something, and when I say spiritualize, what I mean is that, say for instance, I take this stalk of a sage and I pray to the sage every single day, and I say, Sage, you woke me up this morning, and Sage, you blessed me, and Sage, you did this, and Sage, you did that. Now I'm associating everything that's good that happens to me dealing with this sage, and anything that's negative that happens to me, I'm going to just say, you know, it's not of the sage. And when you deal with imaginary concepts like this, it's very, very hard, because when you spiritualize something, you put your all and all into it. You say, this is what I want. I desire this. And this stems what is that word that we hate? Belief. This stems belief, and belief is very, very hard to counteract, especially when Big Mama tells you. Big Mama says, Jesus exists, hell is real. If you don't accept it, then you're dead. Well, I love Big Mama, so guess what? I'm gonna do as she says. Or my auntie, I'm gonna do as she says. My uncle, I'm gonna do as they say. So now, if someone attacks that concept or that principle that they gave us, now it's like I'm attacking them personally. Do you see what I'm saying? And it's it's very hard to deal with it, because people take a personal approach. And when you, and especially when I battle on Chief Seba's channel, Chief Seba Pianki, everybody, if you don't know Paradigm Shift 314, go check it out. Seba Pianki. I just want to throw him a plug real quick as I'm talking. Booyah.
My Carew TV.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So, but it's I find it with this type of dynamic, to where the imagination can run amok, and I'm going to say it as respectfully as I possibly can, with imagination running amok in belief, running amok in wanting for someone to save them, feeling like, oh, we're in survival mode. Who put you there? How did you get there? No one wants to understand how we got to this particular situation. And that's where the ignorance comes from. You have a lot of people come out here and they'll say, oh, the white man is the enemy, and he did this and he did that. Did he do all those things? Absolutely. But here's the catch. We live in an information age, and we already know that he who controls the printed page controls what? The information of the age. We know that. But at the same time, we have a chance now, especially in this moment in history, to take those pages and tear those pages up that have been written for the hunter, because the hunter, the person who felt like they conquered, is the one that has been writing this material. Now we have a chance to do the research through our own phones. We can take these little devices right here, this thing right here, instead of going to YouTube or Facebook or TikTok or different things like that, which there are some helpful avenues on those particular platforms. But at the same time, they're not going to teach you the history. You're not going to learn about the master teachers. You're not going to learn about Dr. Joseph Benyakton. You're not going to learn about Francis Quest Wilson. You're not going to learn about any of those people, because those are the people they want you to not talk to. They don't want you to hear about those. They want you to continue to follow Martin Luther King and different things. And no disrespect to Martin Luther King, but if he was alive, me and him would have some stuff that we need to speak about. You understand what I'm saying? But at the same time, his impetus was religion. His impetus was peace, and we shall overcome. And we've seen that in history. The only way for change is, unfortunately, money and war. And those are the only two things that have stuck in history. If anybody has read, it's nothing but those two things. And it really, really sucks. And Black people today, we have to first, the first thing is that when they told me that we had to homeschool, I was clicking my heels together and trying to go back to Africa because I was so happy that I would be able to sit down with my daughter. And when they tell my daughter that Christopher Columbus discovered America, or when they started talking about slavery and different things like that, that I was able to teach her to say, no, well, no, baby, we don't want to lean to, right. Yes, we want to teach her the truth. We want to teach her the factual information. No, baby, we don't want to lean to that. Let's talk about this. But then also not only just talk about it, but also show her the sources. That's very important at a young age, to show sources, because sources are very important. But Black people in this particular day and age, a lot of them don't want to read. A lot of them don't want to take away the days of old. Me and my brother, we had a conversation. He sat here today and we were of course celebrating Kwanzaa. And he told me, he said, I'm trying to think exactly how he said it. We were talking about, this thing. I'm sorry. Okay, excuse me. I'm sorry about that, Queen Mother.
That's okay.
We were talking about the position of Black people and what he feels. We were talking about a political standpoint and different things like that. My brother, he votes, but he still doesn't really subscribe to the system. He made a comment. Well, his queen made a comment, and she said when she heard a piece of music that I created, she said that she felt like it was she could see men with spears rolling on the ground, hunting animals and different things like that. And it was said in a derogatory way, but I had to kind of real quick, because that's crazy. Because I asked her right now, I said, if we take away all these big industries, and this just shows where Black people are. If we take away all these big industries to where you can't go to Schnucks or some other grocer to get foods which are owned by white people, if we take all that away and we just put you back in Africa, how will you survive? I said, it's a whole bunch of Black people out there that do not know how to hunt, do not know how to grow their own food, do not know how to build homes. So these are basic skills that our ancestors possess. Just basic stuff. I'm talking about, like, this is basic. We're not talking about the complex stuff. We're talking about basic things. Basic things. We cannot, there are several people out here that don't know how to hunt, don't know how to, anything dealing with agriculture or science. Black people lack in. I did a show, I believe it was with you, Queen Mother, where we were talking about engineers and archaeologists, to where people are putting a sports ball in Black kids' hands as opposed to putting a book or a textbook or talking to them about sciences and making engineers and different things like that. We don't lead in those fields. Mm-hmm. So there's a heap of problems that people of color have, especially overseas too. I had a situation to where I was called a derogatory term called a Bantu, to where the people said over there, these are Black people. They're from Somalia, and they were talking about me when they didn't know what heritage I was. Like, you see me with the little Bantu knots in and everything. They were just like, "Oh, he's African. Yeah, we could talk to him. Yeah, we love his message. Yeah." The second they found out that I was from America, oh, he's a Bantu. He doesn't have any culture. He doesn't have any heritage. He doesn't have anything like that. And yet and still, I just had to teach 2 African people about Kwanzaa yesterday. Had to give them a whole spiel. Had to have to give them a whole spiel on what it was, what it consisted of, who created it, why it was created it, and why we should celebrate it.
Very good.
Because they had no idea. They had no idea. And it was troubling to me. I'm like, we're using African, you know what I'm saying, African language, speaking an African language here. We're using Swahili.
Not surprised at all.
They had no clue. And that's what's wrong with us. Just even from the religious standpoint to the system that we perpetuate every day, the lack of education, all these things are problems. But if we look within, and this is something that Kemetic spiritual science corrected within me, because it allows me to look within myself for the problem and look within myself for the
solutions. Seba, come on with the solutions. Go ahead.
And so with the spirituality concept,
yes,
I don't feel like I need to be saved by anybody.
Yes.
I don't feel like I need to be rescued. I don't feel like I'm a hand-me-downs are okay. That bottom of the barrel is okay. I see myself in a different light. People love to throw that word God around, but once again, there is no word for that in Meta Nature. So I don't even like to have it come out my mouth. But so many people love to have that word come out their mouth. When we look at the definition of God, it says a person involved in the process of the creation of life. I think that we all fit that particular bill if we were just to subscribe to the word as the word itself. But when you add all those religious pretexts and different things like that, the political and social views of it, then we start to get all these mumble jumble meanings and different things like that, and people become divided. I am under the assumption, and not really under the assumption, but I'm in the know that religion has done nothing since the beginning of time but divide us. We have people that have monotheistic backgrounds to where these religions are monotheistic and they still don't agree with each other. I tell people all the time of the experiment where I put a Lutheran deacon, a Pentecostal deacon, a African Methodist deacon, a Catholic deacon, and a Baptist deacon in the same room. And these guys are all Black. And when I asked them to explain the Trinity, they could not explain it. They explained it in their way. And then another one said, well, no, that's not right. That's just really how it is. And then, no, that's not right. And then next thing you know, you got these old men shouting over something that they don't even know anything about. Right. They don't know who wrote it. They don't know where it came from. They don't know the time period. They know nothing about Constantine. They know nothing about the Council of Nicaea. And once again, it goes back to another solution: education. Education, making sure that our kids know who we are instead of knowing more about a football or basketball. Right. They know more about football and basketball than they do their own people. And we have to stop that. And it starts at home, because we cannot depend on the school system. Once again, it's a system. That's why they call it that. It's a system. And we have to make sure that we understand that this system is meant to teach white on white on white on white on white. They want to teach that white is right. And that's it. And then they have middle-class white women teaching our kids. What the hell do we have in common with middle-class white women? We have nothing in common with them. They don't care about anything dealing with us. We are merely, oh, look at them. They're so Black and so poor. Oh, I'm going to give my time and I'm doing a good deed.
Mm-hmm. Ashe, Ashe. Okay, so let me ask you this. Does it even matter what religion we as a people practice, given the fact that we are being discriminated against solely because we're Black?
It's a good question, because once again, I'm just under the pretense of that religion should not be practiced. And I think that a lot of the social and political implications, once again, of the word have been translated differently. When people hear, especially me now, when I hear religion, it puts a sour taste in my mouth, but it's only because of the way that it's been tainted, the way that it's been delivered to us out of the hands of the slave master, out of the hands of the Arab, out of the hands. I mean, we can go back and back and back and back, and we can say that this stuff has been delivered to us.
Let me just say this before you move on, Seba, Khemra, because I was going to ask you, and you kind of expounded on it a little bit a minute ago, so that the listening audience can understand what you feel like the difference is, religion versus spirituality, so that people can understand how that looks.
Yeah, it's really, really simple. There's a picture. I don't know if it's such a wonderful picture, and I just love to share it. I wish I could get this to work right. My queen has this thing all the time. Okay, here we go. Let's close. Where is it at? Where are you at? Where are you at? It's such a beautiful picture. Ah, here it is, right here.
Okay.
This is perfect. I don't know if you guys can see this at home. You see that?
Yeah, bring it up just a little more. Okay, so religion, come up some. Okay, and then come over to your right. Okay, stop right there. Stop right there. Okay, so religion, the young princess is on her knees.
Mm-hmm.
Come over a little bit more to your right. Does that say grow?
Yes, she's saying grow.
Okay.
And she's on her knees and she's praying.
Okay. And so,
But the spiritual person, if you can see,
yes,
you see how her flower has already grown and she knows exactly what to do.
Ashe.
She's already watered the flower. She already knows, and it's already doing what? What's most important? It's growing.
Developing. Yes.
This picture shows the difference. It's the most simplest way to show the difference between religion and spirituality. Religion, you are dependent on another deity, another being in order for your salvation. So it says in their doctrine, in their theology, it says, what? Lean not to your own understanding. Think about this for a minute.
Ashe.
Lean not to your own understanding.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Understanding is trash.
Absolutely. You're trash. Don't worry about you. You're trash. Your own understanding is trash. You need to lean to the understanding of this imaginary being that you've never touched, that you've never seen, that you don't even know really existed. You're just believing that it existed. And so what happens? That puts you in a mindset, well, I'm inferior. Think about this. Think about this. It puts you in a mind frame of you are inferior, that you have to get on your knees. You have to bow your and put you in a submissive position.
Submit.
You're bowing and think about this. When you're bowing your head and closing your eyes, what do you see around you? You don't see anything.
Absolutely.
You see absolutely nothing, and everything just does this. It passes you by, and it puts you in a place in time to where you're suspended. Why are you suspended in time? Because you're not growing. But we can clearly see here with spirituality, look at that. She saw a couple of things. She saw that she needed a watering mechanism. She's watering the plant. Look, the harvest is fruitful, it's plentiful.
Dream more.
Say it again. Oh, I'm sorry. The harvest is fruitful, it's plentiful. Look at that. She's already got fruit in there.
Ashe.
And so she was only able to achieve that because she didn't depend on a third party. She didn't bow her head and pray.
Right. She depended on her own divinity.
Ashe. And that was more than enough to make that plant grow. And that's the easiest way I can describe spirituality and religion. It's one of the easiest ways.
Ashe. Ashe. And so going back to that particular question, so when we talk about whether or not it matters, given the fact that we are being discriminated against solely because we're Black, I think that is coincides with the different religions or the different spiritualities that we have.
I'm gonna say this, and this may be, they may say I'm a little bit Malcolm X for this. I don't care. I don't care. I'm just under the pretense that we shall overcome has not worked. And whenever someone talks about this religious precedence, they always say, oh, we need to turn the other cheek. During the civil rights riots, we were holding our hands, and what were they doing? They were shooting us with rubber bullets. What else did they do?
Go ahead.
They shot, the dogs bit the genitalia of our men. They bit the breast of our women. But keep in mind, we're singing "We Shall Overcome." With this religious impetus, we shall, they doing all this stuff, but we still want to do it. Nothing changed.
Oh, wow. That's foolishness.
He should be rich.
That's what's counted on, though. That's what's counted on. That, that again, that's a part of the system.
Absolutely. And that's why that question that you asked is so important for me, Mother, because it does matter in a situation like this.
Right.
Because it does matter, because if we want to change the dynamic of us being discriminated, first of all, we have to unify. Our ancestors didn't have that problem. Our ancestors didn't face the same problems that we have today. They were already unified. We have to unify first. We haven't even gotten there yet. And there is a way for us to do that at an exponential rate. And I just always have been under the know of that it takes us deleting the things that tear us apart, deleting the things that do not unite us.
Expound on that, Seba, such as?
Religion. Religion being number one.
Okay.
Religion being number one. The school systems divide us as well. We need to change the dynamic of the school systems as well. You see, things that come to mind. There are other things that divide us too.
Well, over time, we have been, put against each other in a variety of ways, whether that comes from, our different colors. I'm light skinned, you dark skinned.
Yeah, house nigga, field nigga. Yes.
So there's a variety of barriers that, we have to start to enter and overstand so that we can get past that, so that we can unite, right? So, you have these things that divide us, and even when we become envious of each other, when we feel as though we don't want to see somebody else making more money than us or doing better than us, it all stems from, that Willie Lynch type thing where we got to get rid of that.
You
got to kind of know that we got to unite. And so if you see your brother, your sister making it, then, go ahead and be happy. Then if you want that, earn it, work for it. But don't be envious of somebody else because you're not willing to put the work in.
And there are so many people, a lot of that too, Queen Mother, it stems as well, from people having that prayer aspect, not being able to take accountability. Ego will destroy us all. And spirituality, especially the Papyrus of Anui states that the biggest enemy is our ego. And if we're able to put it aside, if we're able to control it into a point to where we can uphold the principles of Maat, and we can, because ego sometimes is good, sometimes it gives you inspiration, but then there are other times where it causes things that's kind of, like, okay, wait a minute. Now, you're not supposed to be doing that. You know that you're not supposed to be sitting up here talking about nobody. You're not supposed to be stealing. You're not supposed to be hurting someone else. You're not supposed to be, like your mind tells you that. That's why you don't see any serial killers, partly that are Black. You don't see any type of mass shootings or anything at schools or anything like that, because a lot of this stuff is deeply rooted in us to where we're not problematic people like that, even though they try to skew the statistics once again, and they try to say that we're problematic. Even within the schools, they say, oh, Black kids are more problematic. I've seen in the schools that every school that had a shooting was white dominated, and they didn't have any metal detectors. TT, I don't know about you, but all my life here in St. Louis, when I went to school, we had metal detectors. Even when I was in elementary school, we had metal detectors.
Wow. Yeah.
And it's crazy and it's mind-boggling, but you'll never trip off of it if you're waiting on someone to save you. Absolutely. Or you'll never trip off of it if you feel like you're not good enough to receive anything. Or if you're in survival mode and you're willing to take from your own people, but this white person you're not willing to take from because why? In school, they discovered everything. They have the most money. They do this, they do that. So what? The complex, you may say, oh, I ain't scared of them, but you really are.
Right.
You really are. And because you want to attack the dynamic. You won't go against the system.
Right.
I was expelled from teaching because I taught the truth. I refused to teach little Black and brown children that Beethoven was not Black. I refuse to teach that. I don't care if I lose my job. I don't care about none of that stuff.
About you, Seba, Khemra.
I literally, and it was so crazy because I went before the board twice. The first time they said that they wanted to fact check me. Okay. They went and fact checked me. They said that I was right. And I said, okay, I'll go back and continue doing my work. Oh, but you still have to adhere to the curriculum.
Right. Yeah. See, they don't want you to really teach.
Yes.
They
don't want me to inspire the minds of little Black and brown children.
To teach those brown and our babies, because they will come out of their foolishness. Right. And so not their goal.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I
say, and just to end it, that's why I feel that it doesn't really matter what religion you practice. They're still gonna kill you regardless, Queen Mother. There's still it doesn't matter if Mike Brown loved Jesus or Buddha. He is a black man, and they shot him execution style like he was an animal, because to them we are still animals. So it doesn't matter. And guess what? All they're gonna do is say, "Oh, he went on home. Oh, may he rest in peace. Oh, Jesus, why?"
Right.
And then it's gonna keep happening. George Floyd, Philando Castile, all of those people.
Over again.
Over and over and over. They just released 2 reports saying that they didn't charge the people that killed Tamir Rice.
Yes.
They did not charge those men for killing a little boy with a fake gun, playing in the park.
Insane.
Where the religious organizations at?
No.
Where they at, Queen Mother?
You know where they
where the big Baptist people at? Where they at? Where the prayer warriors? Where are those people at?
You got to step aside and let God.
Yep.
That's their solution.
That's crazy.
Ashe. So Baba Seba, the founder of the Temple of Het Haru, that he senses that you have a strong love and passion for your Black people. If this is the case with you, why would you even be bothered with the burden of trying to move a whole group forward instead of concerning exclusively of your own life and that of your family? Why would you be willing to take on all of these issues and problems that we, sometimes face in the community outside of your family and outside of the people who you love, adore, and care for? Tell us about that.
I think it's because I love, adore, and care for all these Black people on this planet, all these Black and brown people. I actually love and adore them. And I admire our heritage. I admire our culture. And I just know that the world would be a better place if we all were to unite, if we all were to understand what's going on, if we all were to really break the mind chains, because we've already severed the other chains. So now it's time to really break the real one that we need to break, which is the chains of the mind. I know that we can bring peace and prosperity to this planet. We can feel the planet dying. That's why I say that I'm biologically Pan-African, because I can feel it. I can feel the difference in my body. We can feel it every day. All Black people do. They feel it because we belong here. You see what I'm saying? We belong here. The sun loves us. Everything loves us here on this planet. And so with that particular beauty, I foresee a world. I foresee an image of us all being together, no matter what tribe we come from, no matter if someone's Gwa, no matter if someone is Songhai from back in the old days, or if somebody's Igbo or whatever they practice, but coming together under the banner of us having melanin in the skin. I just foresee, I want to see my child grow up in something like that, or my children's children. And I think that that's worth fighting for. That's worth dying for, because we have to do it, because the planet's not going to last. They're digging, they're creating machines to do so many different things, but it's all to stop time. And I'm going to say this out loud. I've never really said this, but I'm going to say it. It's all to stop time, because they want to stay in the period where they are in charge. Me and my brother, we were talking about the atomic bombs. People build weapons of mass destruction to keep people stagnant. Think about this, Queen Mother. When they dropped the bomb on Nagasaki and Hiroshima, they dropped the bomb on women, children, and babies. They had no care in the world. But think about this. It set Japanese culture back. So now they are just now arriving slowly but surely. I mean, they have things where the children have multiple fingers and their toes are all messed up. Think about what they did to their society for years to come. They did with no hesitation. Boom. They didn't care about any of that stuff. And when you're dealing with an enemy like that, you have to be united.
Yes.
You have to be united. and we cannot win without one another. And we have to reform the love for one another. We have to reform the love for the black female, the queen and the king. We have so much division with that, but that also comes from the system and also comes from lack of education. House nigga, field nigga stuff. I'm starting to see less and less of that. I'm starting to see, I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm starting to see less and less of that, especially when I ask people, every time I hear somebody say, oh man, that's man, just like a light skin N-word. That's just like a light skin. But what does that mean?
Right.
And then when you ask them, they're like, well, oh, okay.
Right.
Yeah.
To start challenging it.
Yes.
You know, so that's one way to begin to get rid of it, if you challenge it. Mm-hmm. And then just be careful in the way that you challenge it, but definitely don't let it just go by. Deal with it.
Absolutely. Yeah, we definitely not doing that. We definitely are making sure that we get to the bottom of everything, because to be honest, Queen Mother, most people repeat things that they've heard their elders say. And that's why we got to get a new generation of elders in here sometimes, because it's like we have them. Some of them are still stuck in the past, and they always say that you can't teach an old dog new tricks. I beg to differ. I beg to differ. I know that there are people that set in their ways, but I just know that there's something inside of every Black person, every person of color, something that screams, that's crying out, that's saying, let me out, let me out, let me out. And I see it in the eyes of every single Black boy and girl, man and woman that I have the privilege to meet in my life. And that keeps me going, because I know that world, I will die fighting for it. And I will achieve as much as I can.
Ashe.
What is the capsule would you describe as your personal journey that led you to this point in your life? I know you talked about earlier about some of your earlier experiences, but as you continue to approach and develop, and now that you have became the Seba of inspiration for the Temple of Het Haru, what do you think has been the factors that has led you to this point in your life?
Seeking the truth, seeking where I really come from, seeking the things that I just like. I know that contingencies have their own allure. And what I mean by that is that I like having weird conversations with people, things that put people on edge, politics, religion. And with me, I've had a lot of conversations with those people, with a lot of different people about those things. And their responses are it's very perplexing, but then it's still a means to learn. And I'll expound on that for a minute.
Okay.
This is what I mean by that. My journey, only one, was nobody when the second I said, well, I don't think that Jesus existed, then I became something called anathematized. And anathematized is where they curse you or they damn you. My mother has called me the devil. My auntie has called me Satan. They have called me a fool. They have called me an assortment of names. And just think about this. They're doing all of this over an entity that they don't even know for real is real. And what it does is that it shows me how bad the Black mind is messed up, to where something that came out of this woman's vagina will be subjugated in the face of this white Jesus. And it's very disheartening, even thinking about it now and thinking about my journey, because it's been a lonely one, Queen Mother. I don't really meet too many people who are in the know. I've started to meet a lot of them now, but remember, there's different levels to this.
Real, when you met us, Ashe.
Absolutely, Ashe. And that's why I told you guys that this was single-handedly one of the greatest moments of my life. Besides my kids and my musical achievements and different things like that, this is ranked right up there with them, because to be surrounded by like-minded people, it gives you that fire, it gives you that drive, it gives you that burning desire to, you guys have basically just reaffirmed what I've already had in my heart, that I'm getting ready to unite people. I'm getting ready to unite people. And growing up the way that I did, I used to give I used to give people clothes and different things that did not have it. I used to go into my own closet. I would see kids that was freezing outside, didn't have no coats, wearing like little jacket. Man, I got plenty of that stuff at home. I'm bringing you guys some stuff tomorrow. And my mom would beat the dog snot out of me for that. But she was a Christian.
Mm.
Think about that. I'm gonna just let that sit in. I ain't gonna say nothing else.
I'll say,
But she beat the dog sleeves out of me for blessing someone with something that was lesser than me, or that was lesser fortunate, not lesser than me. But she wanted me to think that those people were lesser than me.
mm.
She wanted me to think that they were nothing and that I should just look at them and say, those people, look at them, but they have the same skin tone as me.
Ashe.
So why should I leave them behind?
Mm.
I never understood that. And that's why my road was alone. Because I refused to listen to the crap and the malarkey that my mom, I remember, and I say my mom, it's not to disrespect her or demean her. We just keep it factual. And I want people to understand that this is something that's in the Black home. This is not something that I just made up with my mind. This is something that all kids face. I did not have a choice in religion. My people told me that Jesus was real, accept it or die, or I'm gonna beat your butt.
Right, absolutely.
And there are so many people that have been spread this false sense of security, this poison, this toxicity. They have been spread. And so the people who are like myself and you and everyone that we surround ourselves with, they are, a lot of times, their path is just like mine. It's a lonely one until they meet people who are like-minded.
Yes.
And then you also learn along the way who to fight your battles with. You know who you can reach, or you know what you can say to people.
Right.
Sometimes you can just say a sentence and it'll spark something in them to say, let me take a look at that. Let me see what he was talking
about. Right. Just planting a seed.
Yeah.
Just take to do that and move on.
Yeah. But arguing with people, it doesn't get us anywhere. We might as well talk religion versus spirituality if we're going to do that. But when you really, really get down to the nitty gritty and you get down to the basis of a Black person's soul, a person of color soul, a person with melanin soul, it cries out. And it's a lot of people who are crying out right now, crying out. And it's up to me to bring that inspiration. It's up to me as a Seba to make sure that I cultivate that and bring that out, because there's nobody else that's going to do that. There's nobody that's going to sit and take the time and listen to where they are on a spiritual sense. And then let's say, okay, let's do this. Let's learn some stuff that's fun. Let's go back. Let's really, really see what happened and how we got to this point as a people. What happened? Who did this to us? Who made this system? Those things, when you say it in the right way, and when you articulate it in a way to where that person is, because I have a bachelor's degree. I can't talk to everybody, Queen Mother, like I have a bachelor's degree, because sometimes that will intimidate people. So I have to be able to listen to people,
right,
and be able to listen to people and communicate with them in order for me to even get something across, if they're even willing to receive it. I've never been a person to where I just want to sit here and I'm gonna force you to listen to me. I'm gonna force you to do this. I'm gonna force you. No, yeah. I'm never gonna do that.
Yeah, something like that.
Yes, because that ain't nothing but what Christianity is doing. We're gonna force you to do this.
Mm-hmm.
You do it. So, yeah.
Okay. And so how has Maat influenced your life on a personal level? And why do you feel that such an ancient paradigm, if embraced, will be appropriate for addressing our issues as a people today?
I think that the main subject I'll use for that is unity. I spoke earlier that our ancestors were already unified. You didn't hear about no different gangs over here in this sect and people throwing up this over here in this sect. We were already united. And what the principles of Maat, what they do is that they unite you. We can sit up here and go through every last one of them. A lot of them Black people do on their own and don't even know they do.
Don't even know, don't even realize.
They have no clue. They have no clue that this is already, it's biological, it's rooted in you, it's inside of you. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And when what happens is that there's a blockade that comes.
Do that, you'll be lost. You
Absolutely.
got to do it. You got to own it.
Absolutely, I say.
Okay.
And the blockade that is religion will blockade you from seeing all that. You can't, it'll keep you capped. You can't move past that cap.
Right.
And so what Ma'at has done for me is that it has expanded my mind to a different frequency, to where I can understand, okay, well, regardless of if this person is saying obscenities at me or saying anything like that, one of the commandments or one of the affirmations of Ma'at is to listen to the opinions of others. And so I can understand that when we're having conversation, they're going to say something and they're going to say how they feel, and they have every right to feel that way. But it's up to me to be able to listen to them to where we can have dialogue, especially if I'm trying to convey a message or if I'm trying to be a Seba. Because I mean, and this is just a little slight portion of what Ma'at does. For my household, every day we meditate. We recite the 42 affirmations. We recite the 7 principles, and we abide and we live our life by it.
Mm-hmm.
And so what happens is that with us doing that, my daughter, she's 8, and it's sometimes like she's 21.
Yeah.
But when people but when people say that Jesus, yes, but when people sometimes when they say that Jesus stuff and everything, she'll just laugh at them. And she's 8. She'll laugh at them. And she'll just say, oh, and then they'll say, what you laughing at? Oh, it's okay. You know, it's not, you know, because she knows the truth. So she's just like, yeah. And her nanas and, you know, her papas, heavy into it, deacons, deaconesses, woo, prayer warriors, woo. They got it in, don't they? But can barely pay their bills.
Mm.
But their pastor is rolling around in a Bentley.
Mm-hmm.
He Bentleyed up. His daughters have Mercedes Benzes. They all got big houses.
Yeah.
Multiple properties. And then when you ask them, you say, so why y'all still give tithes and 501c3 covers everything? Why y'all still get tithes?
Because they got to take care of their pastor.
It says in the word that you got to pay the man of God. Where does it say that in the word? Where does it say that you got to pay your pastor?
Mm.
They just make up stuff like that whole what black people say, woodlock. What is that? Out of woodlock? Oh, you had that baby out of woodlock. Out of wood. What is that?
Woodlock.
What is that? What is wedlock, woodlock? What you have? What is that? Where'd that come from? Who said that?
Right.
A lot of that stuff is strange and you have to understand history. But Ma'at, once again, it teaches you to go within.
Mm-hmm.
So when you go within, you're going to be searching for more within because you're going to have questions, you're going to have gaps that you need to fill in with information. So where do you go? You go to the source. Check out that history.
Right.
Check out what history will teach you. And once you start with history, then everything else will start to make sense because if it's real, then we should be able to do this.
Right. Right.
We should be able to touch it. Guess what? Our ancestors left something for us. They left the hieroglyphs. They left the Kemetic, the Medu Neter. They left it in stone.
Absolutely.
It's in stone. There's no debate. Christianity is not in stone. Catholicism is not in stone. Islam is not in stone.
Yes.
None of that is in stone. So our ancestors, they already knew it was going to be some BS coming. They left it there so that there's never, ever any shadow of a doubt.
Right.
This is what it is. Here it is. Ta-da! And that's why you got all those white people over there trying to mess it up. Oh, we're going to translate it for y'all. Don't worry about it. Y'all just keep on hooping. Y'all keep on throwing that football. We got you. We're going to translate it for you.
Ashe. So this is going to be the last question. And this is one that I have for you, Seba, Khemra. If you encountered a sister or brother who was ready to change or decide, say they were coming from Christianity or maybe Islam or some other traditional doctrine,
mm-hmm.
and say they were really interested in learning or growing and transitioning from that to a Kemetic ideology, and you had the pleasure of meeting the person or being that pillar for that person to do so, what steps would you take in helping that person?
The first thing is that I would be the example. Does that make sense?
Show them better than you can tell them.
I would be the example. I have a team of people that I work with every day.
Okay.
Not once have I spoke to them about anything that deals with Maat. Not once. But I am the example. Every day they talk to me, I'm always positive. I'm upbeat. My kids are very well behaved. They're extremely intelligent. Our home has beautiful energy when they come into it. We're always laughing. We're very peaceful. Guess what? Their lives are not. So when they look at my life, what is he doing?
Right. They want to get some of that.
Absolutely.
I say.
And so now all of a sudden they want to learn how to speak Medu Neter. I'll say Hotep to them. They'll say Hotep back.
Yes.
I'll say Uncle Jasaneb to them. They say, what does that mean?
Yeah.
I tell them what it means, and then they start to say it.
That's always, and see, that is an excellent example of how you can show and do instead of hammering over the head. You know, you just reference that each time that you see them, and then eventually, if they're going to get it, they're going to get it.
Ashe.
Ashe.
And that's what becoming the Seba of inspiration, because guess what? I'm inspiring them through who I am. Through just being who I am, they can feel my energy and they become inspired. They say, well, man, like he's always such a great person. Like, man, he's great. It's crazy. Today I had a conversation on the phone, and my partner, he'll always laugh. But my partner, he's always just like, we got to get the business done. We got to get it done. It's got to be done. So he's like, rah, 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 rah. And then I'm just like, okay. You know, I'm always the calm one. So it's kind of like a good cop, bad cop thing, but we're on the phone. It's so funny. But yes, it's balance. And so people feel comfortable when they speak. And then we're able to get down to the bottom of the problem. And so everybody around me, if you notice, even if you look on my Facebook page, my best friend, she's Grand Rising everybody. She'll Hotep everybody. You understand what I'm saying? Like she's starting with the language. Now she's asking me more and more. She's coming to me. They come to absolutely because I was the example. I gave the inspiration by just being me, by just going and living my life every day. And I just feel like it's when we sit up here and now you don't need to be wearing that pedophilia around your neck there, young man. You need to get you here one of these here aunts. They're not going to listen to what you're talking about.
No.
If you befriend a person and they like you and you talk and they see your life, whether it be on social media, whether it be, say in present, they're going to say, man, this is crazy. I love the way he lives. I love his lifestyle. And they don't have to ask me about anything dealing with Jesus or anything like that because they never hear me say it.
Right. Ashe.
They never hear me say it. So I'm a completely different dynamic than what they're used. I hear people say, "Oh Lord, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Oh, thank you, Jesus, for this." I don't talk like that. You see what I'm saying? I don't say, "Oh my God." I don't say stuff like that.
Right.
So they already know that I don't assemble like that. They see the symbols that I wear. They know that, that it has nothing to do with any other religion. They know that. And so it makes them curious because the people always tell me, and I kid you not, Queen Mother, they tell me that religious people are some of the most meanest, nastiest people that they've ever met. And they'll be the people that sit right in the front and be like, "Go ahead, Pastor, go ahead," but be the most meanest, nastiest people this side of the hemisphere.
Yes.
And so I tell people all the time, I had someone tell me, man, I thought you was just an atheist because most of the atheists I knew, were just nice people. Like they do anything to help people out their back, give the shirt off their back for people. And I said, well, I would be an atheist in the social But I said I would be an atheist when it comes to your practice because I don't believe in your God or anything like that. So I would be an atheist to you because of the social political implications of the word. However, you know what I'm saying? I understand a different understanding, or I have a different understanding of what's going on. And then when they hear stuff like that, what do you mean by that? Now you have it, and now you can expound. And they're what? They're comfortable. They're open to where they're not, you know, they're not like that. Yeah.
To ask you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You'll get a whole different side of a person if you allow them to ask you. Ashe. Listen, Seba, Khemra, I just want to say dua. I want to say welcome to the temple of Heru.
Thank you so much.
So to say dua to my sister in the Kemetic spirituality, and my biological sister. I have to recognize her from bringing you into the fold.
Ashe.
With our chief Seba Pianki. So Kawasi, my Akiti Haru, she just has that in her, and that's what her role is. Ashe.
She did to me what I just told you. Her life, her light, her inside, her beauty, her spirit was something that I gravitated to. And I said, what are you doing?
Ashe, nephew. And so family, we hope that you were educated, empowered, edified by the interview with our new Seba of Inspiration, King Khemra Nsu Sekhemmaat.
Ashe.
And so I also want to say dua to our Baba Seba, Amari Sneferu. I want to say dua to our chief Seba, Pianki Pata Matulu, Nefer Umun Ra, and also for his creation and production of our channels. Go ahead and please subscribe and like the channels. Voices of Maat.
Click that button. Click.
Also Makaru TV 314 and Paradigm Shift TV 314. I want to say dua to my parents, Princella and Roy Small, for my existence.
Sure.
Dua to our elders of the Temple of Het Heru, Queen Elder Regina Dennis Nana, and our elder Rini Ankh.
Sure.
Say a dua to our teacher, Dr. Raketti Amen, for her teachings of the Metanetter.
Dua.
And I also just want to say Shem Imhotep and go in peace. Ashe.
Ashe.
Voices of Maat. Voices of Maat will evoke truth,